Yep. One. Test. This thing working? This thing on? Hello? Okay. Well, let's see. Where am I here? 1, 2. There. Oh, okay. Everybody awake? 1, 2. 1. A little bit too high. A little bit too high. 1, 2, 3. I don't like this thing. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Awesome. 1, 2. You know what? Maybe I'll use one of these. One. Oh, hey, look. 1, 2, 3. Let's do that. Let's do that. We'll go there. Josh, can you hear me? No? You can't hear me? Great. Thank you. Raise your hand if you can hear me. Raise your hand if you can't hear me. Excellent.
Oh, yeah. I talked to a few people out there. They've been in the club a year or so.
Okay, how was this one? Yeah, this one works. Let's put this one over here. How about this one? Yep. And last, okay, that one. This one more time. All right. Get in, sit down, shut up, and hold on.
It's been a while. What's up?
5-minute warning. 5-minute warning.
All right, we're going to get started. Dave. I think we have more chairs coming. Yes, more chairs are coming. Hey, you guys always draw a crowd. I think it's mainly Mark, but... All right, welcome everybody. I'm not going to take up too much time. Looks like a lot of new faces. How many of you guys are showing up for the first time? Good. All right, how many of you are here for the AAA meeting? Good, good. You're in the right place. Okay, I'm not going to do the introductions this year because I'm going to let these fine folks introduce themselves. But basically the way this is going to work is we'll start down here at Palomar this time. I'm going to have the controllers introduce themselves and just give us a kind of a 5-minute or so to start. Kind of a rundown of all of the things that we do wrong. And then once we get down to the end, that'll probably be about 30 or 40 minutes over at Brown. But at any rate, so we'll do that, and then after they're done speaking, then we'll open it up to questions for everybody in the audience. There are some folks online, and I'm hoping it works, but we had some pretty severe technical problems. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brandon.
Welcome. Thank you for having us. There's a lot of people this year. Cool. I like it. Hi, everybody at home, hopefully. Yeah, so Palomar. What can I say about Palomar? There's a +1 outpost at Palomar. It's not very big, but it sure is active. Does anybody fly out of Palomar that's here tonight? Yeah, see? Cool. Right on. Yeah, no, it's great. I remember when +1 first started up there. It was great. And now it's a pretty active outpost, I think. I mean, there's like 300 planes here and like 6 there, but they sure get flown. So yeah, no. So Palomar is great. For those of you that haven't been up there, I'd recommend it. I mean, it's my second home. I soloed there in 1996. That's how long I've been at that airport. So back at a company that no longer exists, that was at another company that no longer exists, and so goes aviation. But yeah, it's a single runway airport, so things get a little busy sometimes because we have a lot of jets and we have a lot of props and we have a lot of helicopters and aerial surveys and a little bit of everything, drones, sporting events in the airspace, police, all of it. So it's a fun place to work, and that's why I've been there for so long. I really do enjoy it. It's really my second home, and it was for a decade and a half, even before the FAA. So everybody's welcome to fly there. I think it's a fun place to be. As far as the airport itself, it's pretty simple. It's not a difficult place to taxi, not a difficult place to get to, and you're kind of free of the constraints of the Bravo when you're up there, which is pretty cool. That being said, there's a couple isms that I guess sort of cause a little bit of issue there, not too much, but for +1 specifically, and everybody on the eastern side of the airport, that midfield exit, a lot of people like to basically stop on the runway and hook the hard left onto Alpha 3, and that's not always great when there's a Gulfstream right behind you. So that's one thing that some of the controllers asked me to bring up here was, it's kind of bad juju at any airport to take a reverse high speed, so keep that going at Palomar. Alpha 4 is good. Sometimes we'll approve it if there's no one else. Take the reverse, no problem. We have a lot of training going on right now. Actually, we have several trainees. We had 3, now we have 2, and they both all finished up ground, and now they're about to start on local control on tower in about a month. So there's going to be some definite new voices on the frequency up there for those of you veterans that you won't recognize, and then for everyone else, if it's your first time and you got a trainee working you and you know it, well, say hi. So anyway, I train a lot of them. I'm probably plugged in right next to them, so we won't let it go too far, but do realize that we are going to be doing a pretty fair amount of training over the next 6 months. So that's definitely coming down the pipe at Palomar. Other than that, since the last meeting or two that I've done here, one of the things I always talk about is out on a 15-mile final. And those of you at the TRACON can attest to this, especially in the San Diego area, going up and down the 15 at 3,500 feet. We appreciate shout outs. They appreciate shout outs, as in just check in on the frequency. It's kind of nice. Plus, we can click you as a traffic count too, so we'll take it. But yeah, that was the other thing I wanted to bring up tonight was just having, we like to have you on frequency. I know a lot of people sort of try to avoid air traffic in general, but don't avoid us. I mean, you can see us all sitting up here. I think we're all smiling, or at least something close to it. Or if you're about to get your drink, you will be soon. So, yeah, so it's a super fun place to be. And that's pretty much all I have to say about Palomar. You know, if anybody has any questions, see me afterwards, and let's talk about flying.
Good evening. My name is Krista Wise. I'm the air traffic manager at Ramona Airport. That's my wine. That's my wine. He's trying to take it. I'm just messing with you. So I've been at Ramona Airport for 11 years now. I'm sure you've heard my voice. I've been there forever. I didn't have anything planned to say, but I know Mark will take care of that at the end anyways. But I want to, a couple things that I heard just from Brandon at Palomar, the last thing that he just mentioned about the Palomar final. So I just did an outreach meeting at the Ramona Flight Training Center this last month, and we kind of spoke and touched on this. And I know the TRACON talks about it as well, but when you are crossing the Palomar final inbound to Ramona, I know a lot of people who, does anyone here just have their private pilot? Is anyone here not instrument rated? I'm not instrument rating. I only have my private. So if I was not a controller, I wouldn't be aware of this so much. But if you guys are crossing the Palomar final, we get all the time from the Northwest inbound towards us, either students on a solo or people who are just out there messing around, flying around, just doing chandelles or whatever it is they're doing out there, just inbound. We have there, you're like 3 miles in front of a Gulfstream on a final approach to Palomar. And you don't know it, and you're not breaking any rules, and you're not doing anything wrong where you are. But because you may not have the awareness of the instrument training that tells you that you're on the final approach to Palomar, it's kind of a safety thing. We can't yell at you, but we will get a call from the TRACON, and they'll say, hey, that guy is Cessna, whoever, can you just let him know that's not the best place to be? So we will count you as a traffic, a little click on our clicker. But we'll try to educate you guys as much as we can that that's not the best thing, best practice. Along the same lines, if you are coming into Ramona on the GPS 9 approach, we have a lot of pilots that also like to do steep turns at ACSOC out there on the GPS approach. So we see that all the time. Not the best place. Again, it requires like an instrument training mentality or above to kind of see where you guys are on these instrument approaches. But it's a type. It's a little scary. So along the lines with training, we are also training always. We're always training. So you will hear voices that are new at Ramona as well. We are trying to, a lot of times we are combined frequencies, so you will hear us like remain this frequency, taxi, blah, blah, blah. We're trying to separate that. I had a guy in a Duchess the other day say he didn't want to contact ground. He's like, why, is that new? And I was like, would you do that in Montgomery? Would you just like, I mean, no. So like contact ground, have your students learn a contact ground. We have guys training just like you're training as well. Other things that would help us out at Ramona would be if I know we can file tech routes for you. We're more than happy to do that, but we also may have staffing constraints that would make that a little bit much for our workload sometimes. So if you are instrument training, if you're training, just do the things, just do the training, file your own IFR flight plans if you can. Once in a while, if you hear us talking like combined to like 10 guys in the pattern, it's just a little extra step for us. Other than that, Ramona is a single runway operation. We have, within the last 4 to 5 years, have increased traffic every single year. So you're going to see us working. We're just outside the Bravo, similar to Palomar. We do not have +1 at our airport, sadly, but we get all of your airplanes every single day. I went onto the +1 website earlier and I looked at all the call signs, all the N numbers, and I'm like, yep, the usual suspects. So I'm sure I have talked to all of you. I don't know you by name or face, but I will know you by your voice and your call sign. But yeah, single runway operation. We get all of you guys all day long in and out. I literally talk to the same instructors 5 times a day. Some other things that can help us out. We are the perfect distance from Riverside, Corona, all those other fun places for solo cross countries. So we have a lot of student solos who come in who are told to enter right traffic, who don't know what that is, and cross the runway and go to the other side. If you're an experienced pilot and you're taking your student there for like the 4th time that day, it is helpful for you, not that you don't do this, but having a general awareness of the fact that there's other voices on the frequency that are not so experienced, and making sure that you are keeping an ear out for people who might be more susceptible to turn base in front of you than other people would, because it happens. And so if I have my experienced veteran pilots on the frequency listening and giving that just extra little bit of awareness, that helps us out too. Again, we're combined a lot. We're trying to keep our head on a swivel, but it gets hard. We're ramping up for training season with more student pilots coming in. We're excited to get our butts kicked all summer long with touch and goes. And if you guys have any questions for me after, I'm more than happy to answer whatever you have. Thank you.
My name is Christopher Maravich. I'm from Gillespie Airport. We have no problems with pilots. That's about it. Have a good day.
I'll take it.
You'll take up my time. Let's see. For those who don't know Gillespie, we have 3 runways. We're usually running parallel operations. If we're on the crossing runways, if you've flown on 17 or 35, it's not fun. Let's see. I guess I'm going to mimic something that they all said, which was, if you know Gillespie, don't fly over Loveland at 5,000 or 4,500 feet and doing circles, because there is a Gulfstream we have a Gulfstream based Gulfstream 6. We have 4 Challengers and a dozen Learjets and Citations. And I only look 11 to 12 miles, and Loveland happens to be 14 to 15 miles out. So I don't see them like when they check in and it becomes a conflict. And a lot of times we get phone calls from approach control saying, are you talking to, and we have ADSB now, so we know who you are. Are we talking to November 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? That's at Loveland at 5,000 feet. And we say either yes or no. And if we are talking to you, we try to move you out of the way. But those Gulfstreams and those big guys, they just love going down the localizer and missing you by 100 feet, 200 feet. I've seen it. I've seen it in my 9 years. They'll just overfly you. Let's see. We've been getting busier, not as busy as Montgomery, but we've been getting busier lately. Today I was running 8 on the north side, which is so rare for us, and 8 on the south side. We really don't do too much 27 right pattern work, because our pattern for runway 27 right, I think someone measured it at 4.3 miles. Like, that's how long it takes you to get around. So it takes you minutes to get around. And when a guy's coming in at 250 over LCAP, and I just departed you on 27 right, you're following him, even though he's 15 miles away. Let's see. We've been getting a lot of Montgomery guys because I know that they've been busy, but it's fun. Our traffic has been up. We have a lot of trainees. We are a turnstile for the San Diego area and the local area. We were talking about this the other day. I got there in April of 2015, and there were 16 controllers that I was there with. I'm only one of 2 who are left of that class. Everybody else has moved on to bigger and better places. Well, bigger places. I won't. So we have a lot of trainees. We have 4 trainees right now. We had 3 that just got certified. The average controller, has been about 2.5 years. That's all the experience that they have in my facility. We get all of the academy grads, and we get a lot of military pre-hires from other facilities. But be a little bit more patient with us, because we are a huge training facility, and we're getting 3 more in the next couple of weeks. Like I said, 4 are training, so we're going to have 7 out of 20 people are going to be into the training program. Flight data and clearance delivery. over the last 2 to 3 weeks has been open, which is a rare thing for us. But when we have a lot of trainees, we like to split the positions so that you don't get overwhelmed, because ground control can get overwhelming with all the practice approaches that we do. Let's see. I got no problem with anybody that I can really think of a +1 aircraft. I mean, I know the 5 or 6 of them that are based out of our airport. We are splitting a lot, and our ATIS used to say aircraft for runway 27 right and from the north, tower frequency 120.7, aircraft for runway 27 left and from the south, there was an and, 123.8. We're going to change that in the near future. The runway that you want is the airport, is the tower controller that you're going to call regardless of where you're coming from. We will coordinate with each other about how you're going to turn final and where you're going to enter. But there's no, and I've been doing this for 15 years, if you're coming from San Vicente and you want 27 left pattern work, most of the time you'll call 120.7, you'll call 120.7, and then we'll work you, and then we'll just say either contact tower 123.8, but now we're going to change that. Just contact the south controller. He will vector you, because I don't know what the south controller's traffic is. I don't know where he's going to fit you in his traffic. I don't know how your speed is in comparison to his speed. So just call the controller and he'll vector you out to 5 mile final. He'll cut you in, but we're going to work it out internally on how you're going to come to the airport. It's kind of like, and somebody gave me an example, and I kind of like that example. It's anybody who flies the anything, ILS localizer GPS 17, you get switched to the tower frequency 10 miles out, even though I only own 4 miles, because then the tower controller will tell you what to do, circle, overfly, make right traffic. So the quicker you get to the controller that's going to give you your clearance, the better off it is. So we've been talking with our local safety council about amending that into just the runway you want is the controller that you speak to. And trying to think what else about that. Like I said, we're getting really busy, so we're going to be splitting a lot. We're almost split every day at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we're split until 5:30, 6 o'clock. As the sun sets later, we're going to be split even longer. And now that we have a lot of trainees and our staffing is actually healthy, sorry guys, we can split more often. Yeah, we can split more often. We used to have a local assist, which is a person just which monitor the operation, but we changed that. Now we're just going to split the frequencies and split the workload, and that just makes it safer for everybody else. Please check in with the ATIS. Please read back all hold short instructions. Please read back the runway assignment, and that's all I can think of right now. I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions when we're done talking.
All right. All right, good evening. My name is Rob Rettig. I am the safety and procedures lead at SoCal TRACON. Been there about 16 years now. I work the coast area. When we do the normal just SoCal TRACON presentation, we break all that down. For the people who are new in the room who haven't attended a SoCal TRACON brief, we have the airspace, everything from Tijuana all the way up to Burbank, Van Nuys, all the way to Whiteman. As you've already heard from these 3 controllers, the airspace is increasing in traffic. Just to give you some numbers, since unfortunately the technology is down today, SoCal TRACON is up to 875,000 operations already this fiscal year. Montgomery Tower is up 21%. Palomar Tower on here is up 13.5%. Gillespie Tower is up 15%. Lindbergh Tower is up almost 2%. Every single airport in San Diego specifically has seen a dramatic increase in traffic. This is why you will always hear me in any presentation you hear from me, those that went to Ramona last night, flight following, flight following, flight following. Every single tower here has the capability to give you a code on the ground as you start taxiing. Use it. Get comfortable, trainee or not. Get used to that. Southern California is the busiest approach facility in the world. You guys are flying in the busiest terminal airspace in the world. It is imperative that we work together as a team, pilots and controllers, to make sure that we continue to operate at the level of safety that we do while we manage the amount of aircraft that we do. Something is going to have to give. We talk about Palomar's final. We've already heard that from both of them. That is the number one hotspot we have in the airspace right now, is aircraft not doing anything illegal, but creating direct conflicts with aircraft going into Palomar because they're not talking to ATC. Please don't be afraid of us. We're here tonight, all of us. We are very friendly. We're good people. We love our beer. We love our wine. But we want to work with you as a team out here, and that's the only way we're going to continue to grow the airspace. Without getting into too many details, staffing is an issue for us. Just know if you can't get practice approaches in San Diego, we are separately staffed if you go up to March, if you go up to Orange County and Long Beach. So just because San Diego area may be short-staffed today, you can have a backup plan if you want to take a little extra time and go up to Orange County or Long Beach or go inland to Chino or something like that. It's very rare that both or all three of or both of those areas are low staffed at the same time. But we are not immune to the staffing struggles that you guys are hearing on the news across the country. We are probably the worst of all the facilities here in San Diego, with the controllers working 6-day work weeks mandatory pretty much for several years already, and with no end in sight coming up into the future. So have a little patience with us. It gives us no excuses to be short with you or rude. There's a level of professionalism we expect from everybody. Kind of the example she said, if somebody asks you to go to ground control, you're not used to it, just go to ground control. If we ask you to go to a frequency that you're not used to, just go to that frequency. We talked about ATISes. We have one of my pet peeves. Somebody calls me from the air, calls me airborne already, not getting flight following. I'm ready for my approach at Palomar. Do you have information alpha? No, you're not ready for your approach, right? Number one thing we're required to have is the weather, ATIS, and the altimeter. Every single aircraft accident that we've had in our airspace that involved air traffic control, weather was involved with it. It's no matter what, that is the number one priority for us. So please, if you're teaching, if you're a new student, whatever it is, weather, ATIS, that information, check your NOTAMs. Every single time the president comes to town, we bust half a dozen or so pilots in Southern California who made it very clear to us that at the end of the day, they did not meet air traffic control in the middle and prepare 100%. Because there's no way you would violate a presidential TFR if you did your job as a pilot, and then if you used air traffic control, there's no way we'd ever let you go through a presidential TFR. So we're trying to protect you guys. The air traffic control system, the FAA as a whole, is not in a punitive mode. We're not trying to suspend anybody. We're just trying to ensure that we continue to grow the system, but keep safety as the number one priority, efficiency is the number two priority. And that is one of the places that we see a gray area. We see some misunderstandings between air traffic and pilots. Safety one, efficiency two. If you're intentionally not using air traffic control because you're worried that you might get a vector off of your course, you are circumnavigating the intent of the safety. I will never issue a vector for being bored. Promise you. None of these people up here will ever do that, okay? We're here to help. That's our number one job. Get you from point A to point B. Safe, one. Efficient, two. Hearback, readbacks, training's going on everywhere, including our facility. We know what's happening on the pilot side. It's important that all of us are paying attention to hearback, readback. That's a national issue. And even if you're a VFR pilot, be familiar with at least the IFR approaches and departures into your airport. You don't know how to fly them or know how to fly them, understand how far they stretch. We hear Palomar. The Palomar final stretch is about 15 miles from Palomar. Same thing at Gillespie. Same thing at Montgomery. Same thing at Miramar. Same thing at every single airport. So basically every airport overlaps every airport here in Southern California, because whoever designed all the airports put them all really close to each other and have them all point at each other and overlap each other. We're not responsible for that. We're just part of it now. We'll be here for questions. I know the question is going to come up about tours at SoCal TRACON. They are currently shut down. We just started a significant $30 million construction project at the facility. We're getting a brand new admin wing and we're getting a brand new radar room. We do not know the impacts of that on the air traffic system at this point, but I promise you at one point when we move into the new radar room, there's probably going to be a day that they slow operations down, maybe no practice approach, just to ensure that we turn over without any hiccups in the system. So we'll be here all night. I know Conway will also, and thank you guys for having us.
Conway Mitchell, SoCal TRACON. I work the San Diego area, so I work the area, Montgomery, all of San Diego County. I've been a controller for 13 years, been at San Diego area for 10. So I'll keep it brief. One of the things everybody's touched on, that Palomar to Ramona, crossing that Palomar final, flight following from the ground, if you can. From Ramona, just let them know you're trying to get across the final. They'll get a code for you, switch it to us. We'll let you know if you can go straight across. We have nothing for you. Or an altitude to maintain to help you get across there, help the jets and everybody get into Palomar safely. If you're in those practice areas, come and give us a call. Let us know, hey, I'm trying to get back to Ramona. At least, 7-8 miles. Don't call us when you're at Ascon saying, hey, I'm here. Well, we know you're there because we've been watching you the whole time. So, try to get flight following from the ground as much as you can. If you're going to another airport, that's very easy. If you're trying to go to a certain area and you're going to cross other finals, same thing. Just get it. Let the controller know you just want to cross the final. They'll put something there like LCL to let us know it's just a local flight and what you want to do. So we'll work it out from there. That one, no. Oh, yeah, the best practices? No. Okay. Try to do this one from memory. If you're within 10 to 15 miles of an airport, on the final, if you're going to that airport, within 10 to 15 miles, you should be talking to somebody, tower or TRACON controller, to get you in there safely. If you're waiting until you get up next to the Delta, you probably already, we had to move a few people already for you. If you're in and around the Delta, we have a lot of people that come around Palomar that, want to go at 1,000 feet. They're just skirting the Delta right outside of it. Everybody that's departing Palomar on 2-4, they're climbing to 3,000. They got to start low to get to 3,000. Just because you're at 1,000 and you're not in the way immediately, and they go to 3,000, they don't magically get to 3,000. They got to get there. So if you're in and around the Delta that close, get the tower call. Just let them know you're there, what you're trying to do. Most of the time, again, like you said, we don't give vectors just because we're bored. We usually move you to let you know there's other traffic there and they're trying to do stuff. We have a lot of that at the Oceanside VOR. If you're doing radials off Oceanside, or you're 2,500 and 3,000, don't do anything at 25 and 3,000. For all of those IFR rated, Oceanside approach starts at 25. The VOR at Palomar starts at 3. We cannot do anything if you are over the VOR. It stops the whole thing. Most of the time, we'll just tell you. So we have flows in and out of all of these airports. If you call us, we can tell you what we need from you. We'll give you something to maintain, a vector just to keep you away from somebody real quick. So work with us on that. I think that's all. If I remember anything, I'll try to tack it on to Mark down there. All right.
Good evening. 16 years, so good to know if you read the New York page. You doing a lot of. You guys are a conflict and human rights pipeline. So probably where you're going to have to end up at if you're going to come back northbound. Offshore at 500, great all the time, still going to happen. When you're calling from Montgomery going east or westbound, there's a big hill called Mount Soledad. If you call on the north side of Mount Soledad, your transmission does not go through land very well. So either call me before you or call us before you reach Mount Soledad, or wait till you're round the point around La Jolla and then call. Because otherwise, we can't hear you. When you're offshore, it's offshore at or below 500. If you call me at 2,500 feet at Crystal Pier, you're going to be doing a right 360 nose bomb within a half mile to get down. So just get your plane down, get it down to 500, all is well. I don't know where all these guys got all these trainees, because we are short-staffed and we got one trainee and they're a supervisor. So we're hurting right now. We're running 6-day work weeks. All of us, I'm here between a day mid, so I'm going into work right after this. So be in mind of that. You know, we're getting busy again. Right now is a good time. We're going to do overflights. Come summertime, there's the TFRs in effect. Make sure you check when the baseball game's going on, because the game's going on, you're not flying through. So make sure you check all that. Check your NOTAMs. You can have all your information ready to go. Yeah. And also, if you want to fly to Lindbergh, you can. But you got to go touch and goes, no practice approaches. It's in the AFD. But if you come in, just putt way into the signature. Don't get out of your airplane. Don't call them. And just grab a flight plan. Nobody knows the difference. So if you still want to fly in, you're more than welcome. Ask for that full localizer approach. RNAV Zulu. They love that stuff, you know. But you are more than welcome to fly in. Just remember, you got to go signature first. Just don't call anybody. That's the trick. Call up clearance. Get your clearance to get back out, VFR, IFR, whatever you like. We'll take care of you that way. So, got any questions? Feel free to ask. But more than welcome to come in anytime you like.
All right. Hey, guys. How you doing? So I'm Josh Burdett. I'm from Montgomery. None of you guys fly out of there, right? Nobody flies out of Montgomery? I don't have a whole lot. I just got a few bullet points that I'm going to work off of from our outreach checklist here. Spending extra time on the runway. It's been a thing we've been seeing a lot recently. If you want a delay, by all means, ask for it. Just request it with your takeoff clearance. Hey, I want to go westbound. Request delay on the runway. Whether you're doing training, you know, for your short fields, soft fields, whatever. Just make sure to ask for it so we know what's going to happen. Because sometimes we're punching you out in front of somebody on a 1.5 mile final, and then things don't work. Saying other aircraft's call signs on frequency. I know just about everybody has ADS, and it just breaks our brains. We can't asking us the question. So just make sure, like, hey, am I following the Cessna ahead of us? Am I following the Cherokee ahead of us? It's a real easy way to get us confused. Say your type of pattern work when you're waiting in the run-up for departure and you make your departure call. Rather than saying pattern work, say, I want touch and goes. If you want full stop taxi back, say full stop taxi back. It just saves us a lot of transmissions in the downwind. We clear you for a touch and go. You wanted a full stop taxi back. Yeah, just test. Got to speak up. All right. Yeah, I got to use my controller voice, I guess. Helpful. That. Make sure to put your call sign on there. That's something we've been seeing a lot of. You know, just our general flow. I think pretty much everyone here is probably pretty familiar with our regular flow, but inbound from the west, always come up on 19.2. You can expect to go to Mount Soledad, enter the downwind basically on a 45. Keeps you out of the upwinds because we got that really narrow corridor there between our upwind and the Bravo airspace. So people get a little nervous sometimes, and they're worried about being too close to Lindbergh's Bravo. So they fly right up the upwind. Eastbound departures are right downwinds. I know if you're going to Brown, little space between our final and Lindbergh's Bravo that goes down to the surface. And people want to stay out of the Bravo, so they end up right going the opposite direction on our final at exactly the same altitude that people are on approaches. The people from altitude and position, and you're like trucking inbound, basically because
when they're day next written down here. To explain Marine to be a little I'm a nice guy, but and my job at work is to keep Brown. If I sound it safe, right? Some of that is my guys too, right? I get the two people I have coming are coming right out of the Navy. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with the Navy. I love the Navy. Oh, it was nice. That was nice. So I'm not in the tower to make friends. I'm here to make friends. The guy that bought me this, I'll be your friend. You want to come up after this and have a chat? I'm a nice guy. I'm here for you. At work, I have to be. I'm at work, and I try to be professional. I do. I'm weak, and sometimes I fail at that. And when I'm done with it, I feel bad. I really do. And I don't hold anything against anybody after the fact. I don't. You can come up to the tower for a visit, and I'll shake your hand. I'll give you a hug. It doesn't matter. If I'm mad at you on frequency, it's for a specific reason, and then we get past it. So a couple of big things: call sign usage. Right, first call to the tower, use your full call sign. I know you can say November and your full call sign, and that's fine. I'm going to ask you at some point your aircraft type because it affects where I put you and what I'm going to do with you. If you just say Piper, I'm then going to ask you what kind of Piper. So just make it easy and say, check in as a Cherokee or a Cessna or whatever you are. Just check in with your type and your full call sign, and then we'll go from there. The ATIS. Get the ATIS. All right. If you don't get the ATIS, I know the AIM says that you should get the ATIS, okay? My manual says I must ensure that you have all the information on the ATIS before you come into my Class Delta. So if you don't get the ATIS, you haven't done anything wrong, but if I'm busy, I can hold you out and tell you to get the ATIS and then check back in with it because I don't have the time to issue you the information that you have to have on that ATIS. So just be aware of that. Get the ATIS, check in with the ATIS, check in with your type, check in with your call sign, and we'll go from there. It also helps to know what you want to do. If you say you're inbound for landing, in my mind, in all my guys' mind, that's a full stop landing. And I'm going to sequence you as such. If I got a guy in the pattern, if I got several guys in the pattern and they're doing touch and goes, I'm going to vector you to get behind them because you're a full stop. And I have to, my separation standards vary on whether or not you're in the pattern or you're a full stop. So I'm going to get you around at the back of the line and clear you to land. If you're inbound for pattern work, just say you're inbound for pattern work. And then if I have someone who's in for a full stop, I'll try to get you in front of them, right? So it's important for you to tell me what you want so I know how to get you into my airspace and where to put you. That said, if I tell you to report over something, the big ones from the north are the prison and Pogey. If I tell you to report over the prison, and you say, I'll report over the prison, and you start tracking for Pogey, or I tell you to report over Pogey and you start tracking for the prison, I can see that. And then I'll let you go a little bit, and then I tell someone to report over Pogey, they start flying towards the prison. Do you know where Pogey is? I don't know where Pogey is, right? I sent you there for a reason. IFR inbound from the east, someone on the downwind, F-18. If you don't know where something is, don't just roger my transmission. Tell me you don't know where it is. then I can help you. Because otherwise, I say report over Pogey, you fly to the prison, and there's a Gulfstream or an F-18 or an F-5 on the downwind, and now you're a factor for him, all right? And you're not going to win that battle, all right? So if I tell you to report somewhere and you don't know what I'm saying, or if I'm speaking too fast, I have a controller in the tower who loves to tell me that I'm talking too fast, and I do talk too fast. Just ask me to slow down, right? So that I can help you stay safe and I can get you where you need to be and keep you safe. If you're a student pilot and you're coming down, tell me you're a student pilot. Well, you can come down. Tell me you're a student pilot, especially if you don't tell me you're a student pilot and you sound good on the frequency and you sound like you know what you're doing. I'm going to squeeze you out on a departure in front of someone who's on final, or I'll cut you inside somebody who's on final because I want to get you on the deck and I want to get you to the ramp. If you're a student pilot and you're not comfortable with that, I don't know that unless you tell me. If you sound good on the radio, I take it for granted that you know what you're doing. And I'm going to try to help you out, get you down and work my pattern efficiently. If you tell me you're a student pilot, then I can treat you with kid gloves, maybe extend you a little bit and not put you in a situation that you don't want to be in. Readbacks, hold short instructions. If you're taxiing out and you want an intersection departure from the big runway, and I taxi you out there and I tell you to hold short of the left runway, and you could read it back perfectly. Runway 26 right, taxi via Golf Charlie, hold short, runway 26 left. And then you don't say your call sign. So I say so I need the call sign with the hold short instructions. So I say you have to use your call sign with the hold short instructions. Cessna 456. I need the call sign with the hold short instructions all in one transmission. This says 456 hold short runway 26 left. Okay, now we're 4 transmissions in on what should have been a 2 transmission, sequence of events. We're not always busy, but when we are busy, that becomes problematic. So just read back the hold short instructions with your call sign. Read back the taxi instructions. You have to read back the runway assignment. So if I taxi you to runway 26 right via Golf Charlie and you just say Cessna 345 Golf Charlie, Golf Delta. There's no other runway you can get to off of Golf Delta, but you have to read back the runway. So I'm gonna say it again. Read back the runway assignment. 26 right. Okay, with your call sign, please. All right. So call sign usage, runway assignment, hold short instructions. Just here's a really good tip. However I say it to you, just say it the exact same way back to me with your call sign, and then you're not going to be wrong. Believe it or not, I don't have a lot this year because I think things are getting better from my side. I'll hear if it's not from your side. It's fine. So a big thing we see, and it kind of goes back to the, ask for flight following on the ground, and we'll have someone come in either out of an IFR approach or flight following. We can see kind of what you are on the tag. You'll land, you'll exit at Charlie, and we'll say, say intentions. We want to taxi back. Okay, that much we knew, all right? So we're going to taxi you back, and we'll get you back to the runway. When we say intentions, we don't mean like, what do you want to do right now? We're asking what your plans are. So hold short runway 26 left at Charlie, say intentions. We'd like to taxi back to runway 26 right for flight following to Carlsbad. Or we'd like to taxi back to runway 26 right for an IFR departure to wherever. If you tell us all that when we say intentions, then what we're doing the whole time you're taxiing back is working on that. Right? Or at least we know that's what you want to do, because most of the time, everything you want to do is right around the time I'm making the ATIS. And there's only 2 of us in the tower every day. So the workload can kind of get heavy. So whatever it is you want to do, just tell us. When we ask you what you want to do, just tell us. And if we can't fulfill it right then, we at least know what you're doing, and we're writing it down. And when you're at the hold short for the runway, if you're departing, chances are we've already put in your flight plan, or we've already put in the flight following, and we'll get it to you. But if you just say, I want to taxi back, okay, taxi back, and we'll get you there. And 15 minutes later, you say, we'd like flight following to whatever. that might be a bad time to do it, and we just might depart you and have you contact SoCal in the air because we just don't have the time to do it. So when we ask for information, just give us all the information, and we'll go from there. I already covered this. This is going to go quick. All right, so our airspace goes up to 3,000, right? So if you go over the top at, well, above 3,000, you're not doing anything wrong, right? You're not in our airspace. You don't have to talk to us. We do a lot of activities in and around our airport that begin above 3,000 feet. Specifically, we do a lot of skydiving training at our airport on the field. Right now, the Navy parachute team is doing a lot of practice work, getting ready for the sports season so they can jump into stadiums. They like to jump on the brown field to practice for that. So you might go over the field at 3,500 feet. You're not doing anything wrong, but there's an aircraft at 5,000 feet or 8,000 feet that's getting ready to kick some Navy guys out of the back under parachute. So if you're in and around the Class D, just give us a call, right? Tell us who you are, where you are, what altitude you're at, and what you want to do. I just want to transition over to the east, or I'm going to go over towards Pogie and then go north. And we'll give you the altimeter setting, and we'll send you on your way, and we'll say thank you. We might not say thank you, but we'll give you the altimeter setting, and we'll send you on your way. And that way, if there's anything going on, we can tell you. Somebody over the top who's breaking in an engine or F5, everything that they get, we get all of what they get, and we get the F-18s every weekend, and we get F-5s periodically, C-130s. I don't have the numbers that these guys have as far as pattern work, and I don't have the airspace that they have, but I have a lot of heavy metal and a lot of fast metal in a very small airspace. So knowing who you are and where you are and what you want to do helps me keep you safe because there's a lot of stuff going on there. So it's not touching, can't get mad. It's, I'm going to be close. Let me give them a call. All right. There was an incident recently or in the last couple of months at some airport. I don't remember all the details. I just read the report. Someone was cleared to the runway and they were given a sequence number. They were cleared number 3 and they misidentified who they were following. They didn't read back the sequence number. They misidentified who they were following. They turned in early on them. So we always issue a sequence number. If you're number 2, like if you're following the Cessna on final, and I'll tell you you're number 2, and you say, Roger, I see the Cessna. I don't need you to say you're number 2. You see the guy that you're following. If I say you're number 3 or number 4, okay, be aware that if you look down on final and you see a guy, that might not be the guy you're following. So if you're number 3 and you see one guy and you don't see the second guy, please ask, right? Maybe he's already across threshold. Maybe now you're number 2. But maybe he's on a longer final and he's small. There's a Grumman that used to fly in that was camouflage. It was green, brown, and it was, you get against the mountains, you can't see him, I can't see him, right? I have radar, though. So if I say you're number 3 and you only see one guy, please tell me that. Tell me who you see. Oh, yeah, that's who you're following. The other guy's past threshold. Or no, you're following the guy a mile behind him, right? Because I don't want you to turn in front of somebody because that makes a bad day for everybody. If you're on the downwind and you're kind of tight, we might ask you to widen out a little bit. And I don't know, you should be on about a mile downwind. Some guys fly a little tight, especially helicopters, which isn't you guys, but some guys fly it a little tight. The problem with that is if I have to send somebody around and they go around the north side, because I have 2 runways and there's a runway to the south, and I send you around the north side of the north runway and the guy on the downwind's kind of tight, it gets a little tight for you guys. So fly a little bit wider downwind. If there's a reason that you want to be tight for some sort of training, let us know and we can work that out. But otherwise, be about a mile north of the field on a downwind so we can keep you away from people on the go around or whatever. Hang on a second. That was covered. Yeah, following IFR, do it on ground. Don't get to the whole short line. It sounds silly, I know, but you get to the whole short line, you're ready to go. You call tower for clearance, they clear you for takeoff, and then you ask for flight following. You're not going to get it. If you get to the whole short line and you contact Tower and you ask Tower for an IFR clearance, you're not going to get it. Go to ground. When you're on ground, make all your requests there so we can get you taken care of. There's going to be some construction going on at Brown starting next month for the foreseeable future. The first phase shouldn't affect you guys. It's going to be mostly on the ramp. At some point, they're going to start closing runway 26 left at night. It'll be NOTAMed. So I don't know how many of you come down at night, but check the NOTAMs in the next couple months if you're going to be coming down at night or in the morning before we open. That might be it. Okay, yeah, I'm here at the end if there's any questions.
I thought that was page 1 of 10 or something.
Try to be nice.
We can fix your numbers. Everybody in this room just go down there tomorrow. And
Come on down.
all right, we're going to open it up to questions. So if you want to raise your hands and tell me who you're wanting to direct your question at. And ready? Wow, no questions. All right, we'll start with one in the back.
We're just flying around, say around the mountains, around Ramona and back. Do you still want us talking to SoCal, like just in case we're in your way somewhere?
All right, let me just repeat the question too. So if you're flying around you're flying around the mountains around Ramona and then back into whatever airport you left from, do you want them on flight following? So probably my guess would be SoCal.
So if you plan on, again, just if you plan on crossing any finals, anything like that, yes, we want to talk to you as you go to that point. Flight following from Ramona to Ramona, if you're not going to get in the way of any finals, no, we do what you want. You can always call us for flight following again. You can always say, hey, I just want flight following over to this area. I'm, flying in the area. Usually in the morning, late at night, we'll get those calls. Hey, I'm going over here. I'm going to fly around and I want to come back. Traffic permitting, we'll give you flight following. If we're not talking to anybody, you're more than welcome. Once traffic picks up, we will terminate services because now we have to focus on everyone else. Does that answer it?
Can I throw something in there too?
Yeah. The simple answer is yes. Unless you want to go out and study every airport and every final and every departure and what angles they come in and what altitudes they come in to protect yourself, and not me, but everybody else in this room, yes. Because you just never know when and where somebody else is coming in. What is going on at that specific time, on that day, in the morning, at night, in the afternoons. If you ask us, we should provide it to the maximum extent possible, and that just protects you and everybody else. Because inevitably, the controller that says no will be the same controller that when an airplane comes in and you're in the way, will complain that you're in the way. And I look at them and go, yesterday, you were pretty rude to that pilot, and you discouraged them from talking to you, and guess what? Today, that same pilot is now in your way. Whose fault is that? That is our fault as far as I'm concerned from the air traffic side. So if you ask, we're supposed to provide it to the maximum extent possible, and we should to keep that level of safety. There's a reason why air carriers are required to be on flight following, IFR flight plans their entire flight. Constant contact with air traffic control.
I'm going to add a little more to that. So say, let's go with an example. You fly to Palomar today, right? You're like, I'm going to go to Montgomery or Gillespie. Flight following is perfect for that, right? Because you know you're going to get Bravo clearance. That's what you want. We'll go straight there instead of going down the shoreline. So yeah, that's a flight following thing for sure, 100%. We'll give that to you on the ground. Give you left down departure. I mean, Bravo clearances are free, right? So you probably get Bravo clearance. Let's say you're like, I'm going up to 50. Well, they're free because I don't have to give them. So you're going up to 15 freeway or something, right? And you're like, I'm going to go to the Northeast practice area of Valley Center, or I'm going to fly at maybe 2,000 feet up to 15. I'm going to go up to Fallbrook today, right? Maybe flight following is not going to work that day. Maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe it was too busy and you didn't get it. What you still can do, though, is the courtesy call. And that's what we were talking about earlier, especially, I mean, all three of us down to Conway, I think, mentioned the Palomar final, right? So courtesy call. I mean, that's literally the term you'd want to use. Hey, I'm out here by the 15 at 2,000. I'm going to Fallbrook. Just giving you a courtesy call. Most controllers back, oh, cool, thanks. Click. We're trying to get an upgrade. No. So anyway, no, the point is like just the courtesy call is a great thing to do. And even if you're like, hey, I don't know if this really warrants flight following, just give a courtesy call. We'll talk to you. We'll thank you. I mean, again, with ADSB, we might even reach out to you if you're on frequency. But I had someone the other day that was going up and they were on frequency and they actually tangled pretty bad with the jet climbing to 3,000 off runway 24. But they were there, which was nice. But even we had a little conversation on frequency and they said, I should have just called you, instead of just being here. I was like, yeah, that'd be better. So, courtesy calls are great. And again, it could be faster because then instead of having to dodge around my Delta and play games, you just go right through it, right? So flight following is great in some cases. And then if that's not going to work, courtesy call is like one step down.
And I'd also like to add one thing, and I'm not sure how it is at other airports, but we have at Gillespie a lot of antique aircraft. 3 today, I know personally, one was in a pattern and 2 left with no transponders. So don't rely on ADSB. Like they were saying, oh, do you want me to follow 290? Yeah, it does confuse us when we hear 2 call signs at the same, for one transmission and stuff. But I cannot tell you how many, we work primaries inbounds all the time in and out. Just because you're looking on the fish finder or ADSB and stuff, there are planes all around. And I can name, right now, if I really want to, I can name a dozen that fly on a weekly basis, individual aircraft that have no MOTC, just primary only. I depart them. And sometimes they talk to SoCal. I know that a couple of times when they go to Brown Field, we used to have a couple guys that used to go back and forth Brown and up to us all the time. And I think 77 Lima was one of them. And that's just maybe years. And I think approach says call us because you're just going through you're going underneath the Bravo, but when they're running final to Lindbergh, they have no idea where the altitude you're at.
Yeah, we see a primary, so if we don't know what altitude the primary is at, you have to assume you're right near the aircraft. So we have to move everybody around the primary.
Literally take people off, take a 747, whatever, 737. Sorry, dating myself. A 737 maybe off of Lindbergh's final because of a primary that's 4,000 feet below him. You just don't know. And when we're calling traffic calls and everything, we really don't know what it is. So if you, at least one of the 2 people on frequency, it could be traffic 12 o'clock, 3 miles, opposite direction, primary only. I don't know the altitude. I don't know the type. We'll say turn 15 degrees right. At least I'll get you away from the dot because that's all it is, a dot. I have no idea anything else about that aircraft. So as long as, if you can, just talk to everybody. Tower, if you're within 15 miles, or approach if you want to be outside of that. And we'll just do our best because, like you said, it's all about safety.
We can those vintage airplanes that don't have a transponder. If you do get the primary on them, and you're not going to broadcast to SoCal, because if for anybody in here who flies one of those or knows somebody who does, if you're on the handheld or whatever you're using, we actually usually do get the primary target only, and we're kind of wondering who it is. So if you call us the tower, we actually have the capability. We can put an altitude on that and point them out and coordinate with SoCal. And there's a champ that comes from Fallbrook down to Montgomery all the time. And I've done that 5 times. So he'll be like, yeah, I'm at 3,500. Okay, put the tag on him at 35, point out, call him. Hey, this guy's at 35. I'm talking to him. And then they know that I'm talking to him at least for a while. It's not going to work all the way down there, but for 20 miles of their flight, it will.
Okay, hold on. Let's look at Tim, and then you're next.
Would you touch on the air attack operation that you what is CAL FIRE bringing in versus what has been common there? Are they bringing in bigger aircraft that are now moving obviously faster?
Yeah, CAL FIRE operations. So we are the southernmost CAL FIRE base. Besides Hemet would be the next closest. So whenever we have fires down at the border, for instance, which is pretty common, especially coming up in the summertime when we have warmer weather, et cetera. So per our regulations, we do not give priority to firefighting aircraft. That's not something that we're required to give priority handling to. However, we like to try to because we don't like wildfires. So as far as CAL FIRE operations stationed at Ramona, we have an OV-10 Bronco and we have 2 S2 tankers. You will hear us give a cautionary wake turbulence warning for S2 tanker aircraft, which you have to maintain visual separation and report that you have them, et cetera. Those S2 tankers are phasing out. So we will have station C-130s at Ramona coming, CAL FIRE has mentioned, as soon as this summer. So that's been on the agenda for since COVID. and it keeps getting pushed back because of COVID. So you will see those. We get them coming down from Sacramento. The last summer we had them here for a little while, but they will be stationed at Ramona. So that will kind of change pattern operations. I'm not quite sure exactly what your question was. You're just asking like how CAL FIRE.
What is going to be increasing? 'Cause I know
Okay.
crews are going away.
Yeah. So we're going to have 2 stationed C-130 aircraft. Timeline unknown, possibly as soon as June. They've said that for 3 years though. 737 comes when needed. So like we mentioned, we are the southernmost. Hemet is non-towered, of course. So we are the southernmost CAL FIRE base. 737 as needed. Our west transient ramp is closed. NOTAM closed right now for resurfacing. We're resurfacing that to be able to provide better weight bearing capabilities for larger aircraft that will need it. So we do have this sky crane that comes in that sits on the ramp during the summertime operations for those border fires. So you can expect those larger aircraft to come. In the event of a larger fire, we will have those CAL FIRE aircraft that come down from up north and will be just hanging out there. 737 on occasion, but definitely the S2s are going away, so you will see C-130s there.
So, and then just to follow on, you do still advertise at the end of your AS that fire aircraft, or are you still doing that?
We do when we need to, so it depends the proximity of the fire. We will close down the pattern or do full stops only, or just depends. So if they're going down to the border and I have probably 20 or 30 minutes in between CAL FIRE guys, we'll take touch and go. I'll take pattern work all day long. Not everyone is me, so it depends on whatever controller is working on local. Every controller has a different max amount of aircraft that they'll work and different comfort levels, and so you will see that with new trainees coming up as well. We might have traffic pattern restrict. It's going to be on the ATIS all summer long. Traffic pattern restrictions are in effect, just because not everyone can take more planes. So yes, you will have CAL FIRE operations. We'll let you know when there is a fire. In the event of a big fire, I think was the last summer we had Alpine, there was TFRs. You'll see that out there. That TFR will affect Ramona in the event because the planes are coming from Ramona. So you can expect traffic pattern restrictions in the event of firefighting operations. Yeah.
All right, right here.
Yeah, out of Montgomery, it can take a while to get an IFR release. Is the Soledad departure the best or the only way to get an expedited IFR release out of Montgomery?
Great point. And I'll stand up for this just because it's consistent throughout our airspace, not just here in San Diego, but all the way up to Burbank, Van Nuys, all the way out to Palm Springs. If you can go VFR, go VFR. If you're not aware, when you are IFR, you are a 6-mile bubble all the way around that airplane, 1,000 feet above and 1,000 feet below. Why does that impact Montgomery? Montgomery's departure headings converge with Miramar's departure heading, less than 3 miles. We cannot violate that, so we have to sequence the 2 airports. We correspond Brownfield and Tijuana Airport. Tijuana is the fastest growing airport in all of Mexico due to that cross-border express. They're less than 3 miles from Brownfield, so we actually coordinate with the Mexican air traffic controllers. So that would be the best way out if the weather cooperates, because you get to turn and then we make you IFR out of there. But again, due to that massive hole in the sky that you are, go VFR. Conway's going to love this comparison this is the best thing I can come up with. Everybody been snorkeling, and you know what a little pufferfish is in the ocean. Yeah? Anybody not know what a pufferfish is? Yeah. Super cute. You don't touch them though, right? It's nature. We don't touch them. Little wings on them. We don't touch them. Just like a VFR airplane. They're there. We see them. We're talking to them, but we don't touch them. We can't touch them because that's bad, right? Now you make that little guy mad, and he goes and quadruples in size. That's the difference between a VFR airplane and an IFR airplane and the rules that we have. To give another example, if I'm running 2 guys into Palomar, into Montgomery, into Gillespie, any of them, if I have 2 IFR airplanes, same type aircraft, same speed aircraft, we're going to be about 4 miles in trail. Why? Because 3 is the absolute minimum. The absolute minimum will make you lose your hair like me. And so we don't run that close of airplanes because otherwise we have to talk to the boss. So we usually run about 4. Well, in that same process, we could put 2 VFR airplanes in the middle and have 4 airplanes going down the final as long as we provide runway separation to the towers versus IFR separation as required. The only people that are being impacted by everybody being IFR is the people in this room. We have no problem if all of you guys go IFR. 4 miles in trail, it slows everything down, 1 in, 1 out. Makes our life real easy, to be honest with you. But we understand that you guys are trying to accomplish a lot of things, a lot of practice approaches. So the only way we're going to be able to do that, we able to provide you guys what you want, is by you guys working together and not everybody going out on noon on Saturday and wanting 4 IFR approaches. That's just not going to work. If you get the full stop from us, it's because somebody at the tower, somebody in this room is waiting to take off IFR. If you go missed approach and we didn't expect it, you are now an emergency because we don't know why you went around, and somebody is now sitting on the ground twice as long waiting for you to go. So it doesn't hurt us, but I'm trying to give you guys tips on ways that you guys can accomplish more collectively as a team so that we can continue to grow this airspace together. So go VFR. We all pay a lot of money to live here because of the weather. Take advantage of the weather. If you get flight following, you're going to get the same level of safety from air traffic control, whether you're VFR or IFR. We're going to give you that top level safety from point A to point B. Second note on that, we are a victim of our own success here in Southern California. If you file IFR, you should expect to land at the first airport you go to. Does anybody have a flight plan that you can show me that allows you to file that flight plan from Montgomery to Palomar to Gillespie back to Montgomery? There's not, right? It's designed to go point A to point B. If you want an IFR missed, request it, but that is an extra service based on what's going on at that time. What works really well is if you go IFR and say, I'm going to go IFR, but I want the published missed VFR. You can fly that course, but you're VFR, and we can launch the next person out with the VFR rules versus the IFR rules. Huge difference, very impactful on what we do and what we cannot do. So great tips for you guys to take home, to teach, whether you're 1,000-hour pilot or a 20-hour pilot, ways that we can make this, keep this moving as safe and efficient as possible. Any questions on that?
Thanks, Rob. Hang on, we had someone over here. No? Yeah, there you go.
For Montgomery, the rumor is you guys are moving up to a level 10, is that correct?
So the question is the level of Montgomery's operation.
No.
Excellent.
No, we'd love to, but it's there's a real big jump between that level 9 and that level 10, and something significant would have to change. We'd probably have to get a lot longer runway and some air carriers to make that happen.
I was trying to get you already, sir.
Appreciate it.
We'll go here and then in back.
Question for Mark. If our flight is coming in from the east, there's a marine layer, so they're going to fly over your airspace, avoid it coming back to another airport. What is your preferred route for them to take, and when do you want to hear from them?
Mark, can you just repeat the question for us?
VFR
Some of the people
flight
in the
coming
back.
in from the east, but you're going to overfly the airport.
Yeah.
You're not landing at Brown. You're going to go to another airport.
Right, and not even needing to enter your airspace, but there's a marine layer.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to come over and then come back, obviously near the vicinity of your departure path.
So it's never wrong to just let us know who you are and where you are and what you want to do, right? Because coming in from the east, two things, especially if there's weather. We get a lot of visual approaches. If there's weather, this might not be a factor as much, but from the east we get a lot of visual approaches. Those are the big jets, the Citations, the Gulfstreams, et cetera, coming in below the clouds, getting into Brown. So if you're out there to the east, it's good to know who you are and where you are in case there's one of those jets. If you're just going to go over the top and then out to the west and then kind of vector around, all our IFR departures go to the west. Even if we're on runway 8, right? They make a hard left turn and they're heading 280. By the way, for the bay tour that's going away or whatever it is, if you're at the southern end of the bay, from my departure end of my runway to the southern end of the bay is 280 heading. All my IFR departures depart heading 280. Seaward, Padres, or just non-SID departures, they're all on 280. They're all heading directly to the southern end of the bay, climbing to 4,000 feet. So that's a bad place to be if I don't know about you. So it's never bad to let me know you're there, just in case I have an arrival or in case I have a departure. Let me know I'm just overflying, and my intent is to go out to the west and then hook out to the north We'll give you the altimeter. Maybe we'll turn you early to get you away from the departure. Maybe we'll keep you south of the runways to keep you out of the departure corridor. We'll figure it out when it happens, but call us out to the east before you get over the airspace so we know. Did that answer your question?
And I just want to add to it for SoCal TRACON, you can also call us. Calling anybody and talking to any ATC, talking to the tower or talking to the TRACON. If you're talking to us outside of their airspace, we also do the same thing. We know their IFR departures coming out. We will do the exact same thing. We'll tell you, hey, turn, keep it south. If we know exactly what you're trying to do, you're trying to go out to the shoreline and duck under. We have stuff going in the North Island. Imperial Beach sometimes has, rarely, but they will have an aircraft or two coming in. Talking to someone from ATC will just keep you clear of all of that.
And he's nicer than me.
All right, yes, sir, back there, and then Fatih, I think you were next.
Ouch.
Recently, I've noticed a lot of times I'll be departing and it's like VFR flight following service is not available. Is that typically due to staffing, or is that like an equipment thing? I know Camarillo was out without radar for a bit. And in that case, is that something where should we still be contacting SoCal, let them know, hey, we're here, you need us to move around or something, but we're remaining VFR, or what can we do to help you guys out if VFR is not available and you guys are short-staffed?
So that's a great question.
Questions about staffing and whether or not they should always call.
That's a great question, because just because you can't get flight following maybe at the very first sector, let's just say you're leaving Palomar or Montgomery and you're going up the coast, and San Diego area can't give you flight following, whether it's because of staffing or because they're saturated. Once you get past Oceanside, you're still talking to SoCal Approach, but we're completely staffed differently. If you're interested and you're available, April 4th, I will be doing a fast team brief at Solar Turbines over here with the San Diego Fast Team. It'll be strictly SCT, and it'll get a lot more in depth on how to utilize the airspace. Because again, the staffing in the San Diego area is different than the staffing in our Empire area. It's different than the staffing in the coast area. So if you left San Diego and you went up to 15 freeway, a whole nother area is differently staffed in our building. So you could get flight following on 34-0 possibly. If you go west and 28-1 or 24-1, we're completely staffed differently. You can get flight following there. So don't give up completely if you left Camarillo. Well, SoCal up there couldn't give me flight following, or Camarillo couldn't. So I'm just assume all the way down to San Diego I can't get it. Keep trying. Use the map. Go up on a frequency. But it's difficult because we have so many frequencies, and I understand that. But just know we are separately staffed within our building. So just because one sector can't give it to you doesn't mean another frequency you might know might not be available to provide it to you there. We've seen where they call us at 27.3 in Palomar airspace kind of area. They couldn't give it, but they call me. I can tag you up, and then I can coordinate with them via automation, and you're getting the flight following northbound through the Class Bravo wherever you're going.
And if all else fails, just 121.5. Hang on a second. Fatih, and then we'll come back over here.
My question for Joshua and Chris. If we get an extend downwind for 28, right, and it puts me into Chris's airspace, I was told once that I don't need to worry about their airspace altitude, just go in there and...
Officially, yes, you should call us. Officially, we'll coordinate with each other on the Delta, but unofficially, I'll say as long as you're southwest of Cowles Mountain, I'll say yes, they'll coordinate with us, but 180 heading to 270 of Cowles Mountain, that's... We give it to them most of the time because they're extending their downwinds. Most of the time, it's guys coming over our airport, landing at their airport. Guys on the ILS is Lake Murray. That's that perfect spot. They'll coordinate with us. Now, if you're in the if you're leaving the pattern, then call us. But if you're in their pattern, if you're in their pattern and you're extending downwind because they're getting slammed, and I'm just wondering what I'm going to eat dinner tonight and stuff at Gillespie, they'll coordinate with us. They're fine. Don't stress about switching over to our 123.8 and then getting off their frequency. That's for him to coordinate with us. And it literally goes Gillespie, aircraft extending downwind for sequencing. I'll be like, point approved, and that's it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I had someone, I was absolutely getting my teeth kicked in the other day, and I had 7 in the pattern, and someone got to the edge of Gillespie's Delta and then just left my frequency. and it just like ruined my life. So, yeah, please don't do that. Yeah, we tell pilots basically anytime they're in our pattern that if we tell you to extend, we've already taken care of all that. And like he said, they don't care at all about that little corner
But
of
I will
airspace,
say
so.
one thing: if you're going to Montgomery, try to keep it above 2,400 until you hit Lake Murray.
Don't descend into their airspace.
I mean, I'm not going to brash you. Like I said, that airspace is basically, actually, from what I heard, and I just found this out, and I've been there for 9 years. 25 years ago, that airspace was theirs. Actually, it was like a 180 270 because of something else, but they gave it to us. But like, don't stay at 25, 24. But I can name a few call signs that I know that love to descend to like 1,800, like over Cowles Mountain, and then usually I'll do a little automation and I'll tag you up as tisk tisk or haha or where's my point out, just to bust their chops and stuff like that. But yeah, like I don't care about 25, 24, 23, but I've had guys descend to like 1,800. And how many guys come to Gillespie because they're so saturated? And the first thing they're like, all right, we'd like to make a left crosswind departure. So my standard is after the 125 turn left, early frequency change approved, because they are working so much more. So I want them to have 5 miles before like everything. So then all of a sudden, I've switched you because I'm allowed to do that as long as all my conflicts are resolved. But then all of a sudden I'll see a guy descending to like 2,000 feet right over you that I'm not talking to and they're not talking to. So, yeah, so just try to stay a little bit. I'll give you 200 feet. I'll give you up to 2,200 feet. And then we're fine with that.
All right. Yes, sir, right here.
Yeah, those questions and answers just brought up an example for me. Say we're leaving Gillespie, northeast bound.
Okay.
And I got flight following with the TRACON.
Yep.
And I want to transition via Ramona's airspace.
Mhm.
Does TRACON constitute communication with Class Delta for transition through Ramona?
I'll let them answer, and you know what? I'm going to let them answer that.
Legally, yes. You guys are required to be in two-way communication with ATC. It doesn't define anything past that. To his point, though, if you really are trying to go through another piece of airspace that isn't where you're trying to land, let us know.
Who's the us, though? I'm with TRACON.
If you're with the TRACON,
Yeah.
hey, I want to go northbound. I want to transition Ramona's northbound
that's what I
at
would
2,000 feet. Let us know that, so we'll make the decision. Either we'll call them, or we can do it via automation, or we will switch you to the tower based on what's going on. I would just tell you, stay out of everybody's airspace unless you need to go in there for a reason. And if you need to go in there and that's not your airport of landing, let us know so we can coordinate. But technically, legally, it is on us.
It seems rude to do that, to go into Ramona's airspace and not talk to them.
It is so rude. I'm just kidding.
But then I'm switching back. I go, hey man, I got to go with Ramona.
Honestly, we would rather have you. So we see on our radar scope, we have your call sign with your altitude and all that stuff. Most of the time, we just get a flash from the TRACON. It blinks on our screen, and we click on it, and that's like, hey, yeah, we acknowledge this guy's going to come through airspace. But it varies depending on the controller working. Sometimes I'll have someone switch to me and talk to me, be like, yeah, we're on flight following, we're going up to Riverside, and we're just SoCal told us to call you. Like, okay, frequency change approved. Like, call them back. I don't want to talk to you either. None of us want to talk to you, but we know you're there, and that's the important part. So whether we do so much interfacility communication, it's ridiculous. Like, I don't want to talk to these guys anymore. But we know you're there. So that's the question. As long as you're talking to somebody, we're talking on the back end, whether it's via automation or via over our shout line or whatever it is, or tisk 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 on our screen, like we're talking to. So
I'm still a little confused because what I have been doing, I really like when the TRACON tells me to contact Ramona.
I'm glad you like to talk to us.
But most of the time they won't, so I'll stay with them, and I'll end up going to Woodstock.
I feel like it's controller.
Bypass the Delta, just so I'm
No, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't bypass us. I feel like that's controller preference, though, too. If they're busy and they're saturated, they have a lot of stuff going on, they don't want to call traffic because we have our transitions over our space going at 35 we are all stacked, right? Because you got to be lower to go down into the Bravo area when you're leaving Ramona southbound. So all of our altitudes are stacked. They might just be busy and they don't feel like calling all the traffic, and it's more workload permitting for them to have you talk to me, and it's safer for you to talk to me at that point. Whereas if I switch you right back to them, that means I have no conflicts and we're good to go. So whatever they tell you to do, whether it's we're communicating or I'm talking to you and I tell you to switch back, just do it. But don't skirt the airspace. That goes back to everything. Just talk to us. Let us know that you're there. Don't. Oh, good then. Then you're good.
Woodside, so I'm staying out of the.
What do you mean you're doing it on your own?
I'm staying out of Ramona's Delta.
If you're following, listen, like when I say contact 125.3 and you're going to French Valley and you want 2500 and you're talking to him on the north sector, just listen to him. He'll tell you to go to Ramona.
Yeah, if you intend on going through Ramona's airspace, if that's where you want to go, say I want to go through Ramona's airspace.
Wait, what's your end number? Okay, all right.
Yeah, most of the time. So if we don't hear anything about going through Ramona's airspace, we will keep you out of it. We'll say, stay at above 4.
Yeah.
Just because we don't know.
Sometimes I'll climb above the Delta.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just go to Woodside or Mount Woodson, so it's just on the outside of it. But a few times I've flown through it with the Tracon. I'm thinking to myself, man, I sure like to talk to Ramona right now, but I'm with the Tracon.
Oh yeah, we've done it. We've already coordinated it.
Both sides.
Yeah.
He may want to keep you, but if you're like, if we have a low cloud layer, like 2,000 feet overcast, and you want to go ground to Ramona at 1,500, I'm not letting you talk to him because my pattern's 14 and 16. So I'm not getting you between two. I'll be like, hey, give me that guy at Helix, and then I'll work you through my airspace. And then once you're on the other side, I'll flash into the next sector. Like, it just all depends on like what's going on. But just whoever you're talking to, stay with them. Don't go by frequency.
Yeah, again, just communicate what you
go back to the
what you
original
need.
Question that constitutes.
Yeah, you're
Delta
You got it
communication.
2-way. You're
Yeah.
good.
Legally, yes.
You're good.
You're on 165.
Yeah, I mean, they'll call me like, hey, do you want the point out? Do you want me to hand them off? What is it a handoff? Is it a point out? Is it a go over the top? Is it a whatever? I mean, it's whatever makes sense at the time.
Yeah, I've done all of it.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, you did the right thing. You got flight following, right? So you're cool. You're good.
Well, that's the main thing. I get flight flying right off the ground.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, it's great.
And if you're going to Ramona, and I mean, just saying this, if you just going direct there, you don't need flight following.
So I'm going to French Valley.
Well, I'm just saying, but if you're going to Ramona, or you're going to, we've had guys who want flight following to Montgomery with the code.
Oh.
Which, I mean, it is whatever you want it. But like Ramona specifically, we want flight following to Ramona. If you're just going to land there, I'll work you just as well as they're working you. You don't have to bother them on 25.3 because I'll work you all the way to San Vicente, and then I'll flash them to them, and then she'll work you the rest of the way in. You'll get the same services and not involve a controller that might be saturated. So
Yeah, most of the time we get flight following from Gillespie to Ramona. The first question is, do you want to go through the Bravo? That's the easiest thing for us in the Tracon. If you want to go through the Bravo, yeah, talk to me. Let's go. Go right to Ramona. Now, if you want to go around it, there's a million traffic calls I'm about to give, and I'm probably just going to terminate service. I'm going to give you the traffic and then tell you contact Ramona on the other side of it.
And the traffic is guys landing at my airport. So most of the time they're checking in at Verona Casino, opposite direction at 3,500. So I know who they are and I know their intentions. And each controller does things differently. I'll be like, inbounds remain west of Verona Casino and outbounds remain east, or one stays north of Lake Jennings, one stays south. I'm not a pilot, but I realize like, if you stay north of this waterway and you stay south of this waterway, you're separated, and that's how I like to keep it simple. Like, I tell my trainees, keep it as simple as possible. Like, keep them one south, one north, one east, one west, and that's it. You don't have to worry about altitudes at that point.
Yeah, and just going back to the flight following part of it again, not to deter you from getting flight following from Gillespie to Ramona. If that's what you want, that's what you call up for. You get the code. As soon as you talk to us, we'll tell you the rest of it.
All right, we have time for maybe 2 more questions. Hang on, Rich. One's in the back, and then Rich.
Good evening. Just for training purposes and thinking of SoCal sometimes in days like today, sometimes clearances might be limited, right? Saying we want to do an IFR, maybe I'm thinking I can do this training, but I need to climb the IFR. The VFR on top, and especially today, it was not allowed because the short staff and why not. which is totally understandable. Now, my question is there any way, on the side of being a student or an instructor, is there a way to kind of forecast or kind of like have some information onto the ability to have that clearance or not?
No. Tops over 6,000.
Gillespie will call up
6,000.
control. I will call up East Sector and say, are you taking on tops?
Yeah.
Like, I'll do that right before, and like at the beginning, anytime someone asks on tops, that's what the first thing I'll make call, are you taking on tops? And they'll just tell me straight up, yes or no. And then that's when I'll issue it, or I won't be surprised by it. I mean, but you'll know right when you call clearance delivery, because if it's a thick layer, I know that they're not going to give it
Yeah.
to you.
Usually on top.
And don't try to do the whole, I'm going an IFR to Ramona. We know your tricks. I want an IFR to Ramona because I can't get it on top. And then you hit 6,000 feet and you're like, I'd like to cancel. Because we know what you're doing. The first one will get it, the second one will.
Yeah, the on top things really has to do with kind of how high the layer is, because you are that huge bubble in the sky the entire time until you're able to cancel. And again, the game of, okay, well, I'm going to go IFR to wherever, I'm going to cancel, now I go play around, and now you need to get back. The minute I say clear 2, you go back to the giant puffer fish on us. So we have to make this massive hole in the sky for you. So some of you probably have been vectored to the final at Montgomery, VFR, 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 and then you get cleared for the approaches. You're cleared onto the localizer. And what we're doing there is we're using VFR tool, and then as soon as we get you on the final, we've created the 3 miles or more, and then we clear you, and now you're IFR going in. On top days like today, I mean, I had aircraft out of John Wayne and Long Beach. One would do 6,000 cancel, the next one would be 7,000 cancel, the next one 5,500 cancel. And when it's that kind of unknown going on constantly with the Skyhawk doing 70 knots, that's a major, major challenge for us, regardless of staffing in the facility. When they're high layers like that, on tops typically are one of the first things that we're not going to entertain those for the day. Come up with a new plan, go fly cross country to Chino or something like that. But go. Actually go. Oh, this is Ian Lewis in the back. This is haven't got to it yet. San Bernardino. A lot of people are trying to fly into San Bernardino these days. It's the only tower that doesn't have a radar display in it in all of Southern California. They won't be getting one. It's the only tower in Southern California. And when I say Southern California, I'm referencing SoCal TRACON's airspace. It's the only tower that doesn't have a keyboard to give you IFR flight plans, like every single other one of them. In every single IFR approach into San Bernardino, if you're doing an approach, what we call an ODO approach, so we have to protect each arrival, not an airport to go practice at. Amazon has set up there at that airport. They're using 767s. The largest airplanes other than the 380 are flying into there. Are the A380s going in there now? So now the 330? The 330s. So everything but a double-decker is going in there right now. It's not the ideal. I know it's the ideal piece of pavement. Which is into San Bernardino. Not the best place to go. They will accept approaches into March. You cannot land at March Air Force Base, but you can do approaches in there when they have the time and do that, and they're encouraging it, actually. So it's an option for you. Check it out. Something you may not have thought about. They have their own approach control and Class Charlie there. So it's just another option for you guys, and I think that's it for me.
Mark had some.
Yeah, so just a couple things to tag on the end there based on the discussion that's going on. We get a lot of student pilots at Brownfield because we got an almost 8,000-foot runway that people like to come down and practice on. I get that. Welcome. We have a lot of antique aircraft. We have a lot of antique pilots down at Brownfield and some antique controllers. So I don't discriminate. On the second Saturday of every month, weather dependent, our EAA chapter does a Young Eagles evolution where they fly kids around every morning. So don't send your students down Saturday morning if you're an instructor and you're sending students out on a solo, or if you're bringing them down Saturday morning, the second Saturday of the month, you might not get the big runway, right? You might get turned away because it gets busy down there, and a lot of the pilots that we get down there on the second Saturday aren't our normal Brown pilots. They're not as familiar with what we do. They can be a challenge. Hey, God bless them for helping out the kids and everything, but they increase our workload exponentially, and you guys might come second. So don't send a solo down there on the second Saturday of the month unless he can take the small runway. And a couple of times we've had people on the right runway, we're bounding them, and we'll tell them to make left close traffic for runway 26 left, and they acknowledge it, and they sound good, and they get on the downwind, and we clear them for 26 left, and then they say they can't take the left runway, right, when they should be turning base, and they're flying towards the mountains. So, like he said, if they can't do something, teach them to say unable. If you can't do something, say unable. If I say make left close traffic for runway 26 left, and you can't take the left, tell me then unable, and I may extend you upwind to the coast. I don't know. I'll figure out how to keep you on the right runway, or I'll tell you to, go away and come back in 30 minutes because that's the safest thing for you to do with what I've got going on. But don't keep secrets from us. If you can't do something I'm telling you to do, say unable. Sunday afternoons, we have a customs at Brown. So Sunday afternoons or Mondays, if it's a holiday weekend, we have a lot of heavy metal coming across the border to clear customs. Again, you might not get that right runway that you want to do your training because there's 4 or 5 Gulfstreams inbound and outbound on that runway. If you can use the left, great. We'll sequence you in, and we'll keep you in the south pattern. We'll work you on the left. But if you can't take it, let us know that. Say unable, and just understand that we may send you away or have you come back. No, that's it. Just understand that.
To his point, tonight, controllers maximize the get up and are ready to take off at 7 in the morning when your tower opens. Two. This is consistent throughout all of Southern California. To 2 because you guys don't get up and go flying till about 9 or 10. We are there. If you're waiting to every single day, that is peak traffic hours in the airspace. Between 7 and 9 in the morning, I might get 3 cups of coffee in. So take advantage of that time, early mornings, later in the evenings. It's not the answers that air traffic controllers want to hear, but we're there to provide that service. Say again?
Marine layer, there is a lot of marine layer.
Not
But I'm talking about throughout SoCal's airspace. Since the Empire area that he works in, it's and nobody flies before 9 o'clock. We can opportunity in the airspace to take advantage of for you guys.
And even at the tower, I'm the guy who says, "You want to have fun? Let's have fun." And we'll do every runway. And I've done it at 7:30 in the morning. And you can ask Kathy. I'll be like, "All right, 27 right, clear for takeoff. I want you to make a teardrop 9 left. All right, we're gonna make a 180. I want you to do 9 right. Let's go 17 and 35, and we do crosswind landings." I mean, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I have so much more fun at
We're
work.
caffeinated, we're fresh, ready.
All right, last one. We'll end with Rich, and then some of these folks will stay around, and if you have questions, you can come up to them and see them.
One of the questions I have, you were talking about going in between SoCal and the Class Delta. Let's say I'm doing an approach, and I know airspace, I should be transitioned or turned over to, let's say, Montgomery Tower. And this has happened at Long Beach and other places I fly around the country. So, but you guys get really busy because somebody calls you and whatever. I'm getting closer to Montgomery and I haven't got that transition.
You mean like being switched to the tower?
Yeah. So
And you're on approach or?
It's about like a late handoff.
and I'm coming down and nobody has switched me and I'm inside and pinning. I'm getting closer and closer. Should I just wait until I'm over the runway and let you guys?
Just land.
Or switch? Or
You can always key up if you're established on it and you're inbound, you've been cleared for it. You can always key up and say, go on the tower.
Okay, but what if I can't because you're busy talking?
Oh, go to tower. Go to tower. If you can't get a word in, go to tower. We want you at tower. Sometimes we will forget we didn't switch you. We're so busy. We're talking to so many planes. We see you going in. We assumed that, yep, we must have switched that guy. Montgomery will call us up. Ramon will call us up. Hey, can you switch him? Oh, okay. Well, here you go. So, yes, if you are, I'd say, if you're established on that final, inbound, you good to go? Go.
Good. I've done it, but I didn't switch back to hear you yelling at me that I should have done it.
Yeah, don't switch back. Don't switch back.
I'm just saying, if it happens, something more tip like that, we'll deal with it.
No, you guys are awesome. Because one time I was coming in and there was a FedEx in front of me in Long Beach, and he hadn't switched, and I just heard the tower just ream him and then make him go miss just for fun, I think.
We never make them go miss for fun.
We don't do that for fun. We don't make someone go miss for fun.
You don't want to work a plane twice. Maybe,
Especially not a heavy FedEx.
Yeah. I mean, you don't send a guy. Maybe you'll send a guy around in a pattern because you're going to work him regardless. But like full stop landing, I'll send a pattern guy around before I send a full stop guy around because one wants to land and the other one. And if you're gonna, and I'd say like if you're coming to Gillespie and you're over Crest or you're within, on the localizer over Crest, you're 1 mile away from my Delta and you're still talking approach and they're chit chat, they're talking a lot, just switch to me. I mean, there's not much approach can do anymore anyway. It's either like at that point, I'm the one who's sequencing you into my final. But yeah.
Same thing at Brown. If you're coming into Brown IFR, if you're at the initial, like the rule is you have to be on tower frequency to enter the Delta airspace, but you should be doing that on the initial approach fix on the approach into the. If you're entering the Delta and you haven't talked to tower, you're wrong. But I need to talk to you. There's traffic going on at the field. To so and so, yeah. Hey, tell him he needs to wait for us to switch him. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you that, right? Because if you don't call me and you enter my Delta, I'm gonna holler at you. They don't know what's going on in my field. They get busy. I don't get mad at them for not switching. I get mad at you guys for entering the airspace without talking to me because, like he said, you're an adult and you're the right. We're not talking about the transitions that we talked about earlier. If you're landing at my airport and you're in my Class D and you're not talking to me, I'm not going to write you up. I'm going to yell at you. If I'm yelling at you, I'm not writing you up because if I write you up, I have to send the tapes up. And if I'm yelling at you on the tapes, then I get in trouble, right? So if I'm yelling at you, you're probably safe. But, talk to me before you get into my airspace. That's. I think all the towers will say that.
And I'm going to bring one thing up about something he just said about writing up. And everybody knows what a brash police. And I know that everybody is training. And I had a pilot might have yelled at no, never mind. I've yelled at not a lot of pilots, but he was complaining about the way other people were flying the pattern. And this guy student, and he's like, well, they're gonna fly wide crosswind or this and that, and I just kind Like they're learning just like the person sitting next to you. Accidentally miscounted. They were supposed to follow number 3 and they cut you off. I mean, yes, it can be dangerous and we'll resolve it. Like you cut off your traffic, start a climb, go around and this and that, and we'll do our best. But during your training. Now, if you do something, if you're an IFR pilot that's been flying for 20 years.
Really?
That wasn't me.
Yeah. If you're a pilot that's flying and you're flying and you know what you're doing and you do something stupid, that might create a brasher because you did something either maliciously or we need to discuss this. But at my airport, everybody flying is a student pilot. So unless it's something really egregious to really make you get nervous, because if I brash you and say all the things you did wrong, that might affect your next. But I'll also tell you, hey, do me a favor, call the tower. I want to discuss everything like that. So just understand that we're there as a team. I know you want to get your PPL or your IFR or CFI or anything like that, and I want to make sure that you get on the ground safely. So we're all a team. So if you see a situation where like, oh, you should have brashed or why didn't you do this and do that, we try to make everybody as comfortable as possible and not like make anybody more nervous than they actually are. So I just want to say it like that. At least at Gillespie. And I don't know how it is at SoCal. They might yell at you and brush you more. But I'll yell at you.
Yeah. All right. Let me leave you with this before we close out for the night. So from a club standpoint, the biggest issue we have right now, noise abatement. Two areas that guaranteed you're going to get some kind of report, and there is now a concerted effort by the residents of a bunch of these areas to come after all of you and go the way of Santa Monica. Encinitas and Alpine. If you're going out to practice, don't stay there. Do a couple maneuvers, go somewhere else. There's a big desert. I hate to say it. I go out there all the time. There's nobody out there. I'd rather not have a bunch of people out there because I'm the one that goes out there, but it's an extra 5 or 10 minutes. Same thing if you go eastbound, not too high because of the arrivals, but you can go eastbound over by Barrett Lake. Just stay away from Alpine and Encinitas as much as possible. And whatever you do, if you're doing 56 circuits around one area, that's going to be a problem. I don't care what your altitude is. Someone's going to call. What? Well, yeah, I mean, you can see all this stuff on the website. Anyway, so I want to say thank you for all these fine folks for coming. Thanks, everybody, for coming. And there is still a couple spots. If you think you're good enough to do a spot landing contest at the end of March, go to the website, about, and calendar, sign up.